It was a Tuesday night when everything went wrong. I had just gotten home from work and was looking forward to a quiet evening alone. Little did I know my ex was waiting for me. The moment I unlocked the front door, I could sense something was off. The house was dark, and there was an eerie silence. I flipped on the lights and let out a small gasp. The living room was completely ransacked. The couch cushions gutted, photos smashed, bookshelves emptied. What the hell had happened here? My heart pounded as I slowly moved through each room. The destruction continued everywhere I looked. Drawers emptied out, clothes shredded, valuables clearly missing. This wasn't just some random break-in. Someone had purposefully gone through my belongings in a crazed search for something. But what? As I crept toward the bedroom, the hairs on my neck stood up. The door was closed, which was unusual for me. I hesitated, then pushed it open. A figure shot up from the bed and came straight at me. It was my ex-girlfriend, Monica. Her eyes were wild and furious. Before I could react, she tackled me to the ground. "Where is it? What did you do with it?" she screamed in my face. I had no idea what she was talking about. She slapped me hard. "Tell me." "Monica, I don't know what you want," I cried out. She let out an animalistic growl and wrapped her hands around my neck, squeezing tight. I gasped for air and tried to pry her fingers loose, but her grip was too strong. "The necklace, you bastard. I know you have it. It was mine," she yelled. Suddenly it hit me. She must be talking about the diamond necklace I had given her for our 1-year anniversary. When we broke up, she had left it behind, and I had put it away in storage. My vision started to blur from the loss of oxygen. In a last-ditch panic, I kneed Monica in the stomach and pushed her off me while she was stunned. I leapt up and rushed for the baseball bat I kept under the bed, but Monica was already recovering and lunged at me again. I swung hard and smashed the bat into her shoulder. She let out a howl of pain, but kept coming. We struggled violently, knocking over furniture and crashing into walls. Monica clawed at my face and eyes. I knew if she overpowered me, I was dead. Gripping the bat tight, I started swinging wildly. An agonized scream filled the room as I connected with her knee. She crumbled to the floor, grasping her leg. I staggered back, breathless and trembling. What the hell was happening? This woman had just tried to kill me over a piece of jewelry. Monica lay there moaning and cursing. I needed to get out of there. But as I turned to go, she called out, "Wait." I looked back at her crumpled figure. Her face had gone from madness to desperation. "Please, just tell me where it is. I need that necklace back. It's special. It's mine. Please," said weakly. I felt no sympathy, only anger and violation at what she had done. "I don't have it anymore. Just stay the hell away from me," I yelled, leaving her there injured and raving. I fled the house and drove straight to the police station. Looking back, I shudder to think what she might have done if I hadn't fought back. It's been 2 years since that horrific night. Monica is serving prison time for assault and battery, along with probation violations. Turns out she had been stalking me for weeks, even accessing my cloud accounts illegally. I made sure to move far away and take every precaution possible. She still writes me letters from prison full of proclamations of love and apologies. I burned them on sight. The emotional scars remain, though. I had to change everything. My number, my home, my habits. I installed top of line security, but I still occasionally have nightmares where I wake up struggling to breathe, feeling Monica's hands around my throat. Logically, I know she can't get to me anymore, but the fear lingers. In some ways, I mourn the girl I used to know and love, but that person is dead, consumed by darkness and obsession. My friends tell me I dodged a bullet by escaping, and they're right. The Monica I knew in the beginning was just a mask covering something twisted and dangerous. I survived, but I'll never fully trust or feel safe again. Those glowing eyes flashing with madness will haunt me forever. I should have known Monica was trouble from the start. When we first met at that house party sophomore year, she seemed so sweet and charming. A little quirky maybe, but aren't we all? I was instantly drawn to her big brown eyes and quick wit. We hit it off right away and started dating shortly after. The first few months were pure bliss. Monica practically smothered me with affection. Little gifts, cards, surprise home-cooked meals. She wanted to spend every waking moment together. At first, I thought it was cute how attached she was. I felt so loved and cared for. But gradually, her behavior started to seem strange. Like how she insisted on keeping a toothbrush at my apartment after only 2 weeks of dating. Or how she would show up unannounced to surprise me, even though I told her I needed alone time to study sometimes. When I tried to gently bring up giving each other some space, she would get so upset. Big, dramatic tears clutching my arm, begging me to not leave her. It was easier to just let it go. Over time, Monica's obsessive behavior escalated. She would call me dozens of times a day, demanding to know where I was and who I was. If I ever turned my phone off to take a study break or go to class, I'd come back to 20 voicemails from her freaking out that I might be cheating. Once she even broke into my email and read months' worth of private messages between me and my friends. When I confronted her, she didn't even apologize. She tried to justify it by saying she just loved me so much. She just loved me so much she had to know what I was up to. By junior year, I knew I had to get out. The final straw was the night I woke up to find Monica standing over my bed, stroking my hair and whispering that we'd be together forever. I broke up with her the next day. Instead of taking it well, Monica completely unraveled. She alternated between hysterical crying jags and screaming rage. She somehow got access to my social media accounts and posted wild accusations about me to all my friends. When I blocked her number, she started calling me from different phones, dozens of times a day. She slashed my tires and left terrifying notes on my car saying I'd regret leaving her. Her friends informed me that Monica had dropped out of school and was essentially having a mental breakdown over the breakup. I was scared, but hoped she would move on if I cut off contact completely. I thought I was free when Monica stopped contacting me for a few blissful weeks. Then one night as I was walking back to my apartment from the library, she appeared from the shadows. Before I could react, she sprayed something in my eyes that burned like hell. As I cried out in pain, she laughed maniacally, saying I'd never leave her again. The next thing I knew, I was regaining blurry consciousness on the floor of a dimly lit basement. My hands and feet were bound. Across the room, I could make out a small bed and some storage shelves. Was I in Monica's basement? As my vision adjusted, I noticed the shelves were full of candles, incense, and an array of odd trinkets. The whole place smelled earthy and medicinal, like an occult shop. What had Monica gotten herself into? My blood ran cold as I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. There she was, looking sweet as ever in a floral sundress. "Welcome home, my love. I've missed you," Monica said cheerfully, like this was totally normal. Over the next few days, the full extent of Monica's break from reality became clear. She acted like we were still dating, bringing me meals and trying to cuddle up to me on the dirty mattress where she kept me tied down. Sometimes her mood would shift, and she'd rant about how I betrayed her love by trying to leave. Other times, she'd have full-on conversations with people who weren't there. She had clearly descended into some sort of paranoid delusion. I tried reasoning with her, reassuring her that I cared, but this had to stop. Her response was to gag me so I wouldn't spew any more lies. As the days turned into weeks trapped in that dank basement, I felt my hopes slipping away. Monica barely let me move from the mattress, only untying me to use the filthy bucket she left in the corner. My only chance was to try to escape when Monica's grip on reality seemed weakest. Late one night after she finished yelling at her delusions, Monica collapsed into heaving sobs about how much she loved me. When she came over to untie my gag and begged me to forgive her, I seized the opportunity. I told her I still loved her, and we could make it work. She melted into my arms instantly. As she laid her head on my shoulder, I discreetly grabbed a heavy candlestick from the shelf beside the bed. With all my strength, I brought it crashing down on her skull. Her body went limp, and I scrambled free, pausing only to grab my phone from where she'd left it, charging on the stairs. I dialed 911 as I fled blindly through the dark house and out the front door. Finally, I spotted flashing police lights and collapsed with relief as the officers took my statement and went to secure the basement. I shuddered thinking about how close I'd come to being trapped forever in Monica's twisted fantasy. My friends hardly recognize me now. After the months of recovery, it's taken to feel normal again. I still have nightmares that Monica will reappear to pull me back into her darkness, but the police assured me she'll be in a facility far away for a very long time. I guess the morale of my story is to take red flags in a relationship seriously, because you never know when that cute and quirky new boyfriend or girlfriend will turn out to be a total psycho. Next time I'll trust my gut if things seem off and get out fast, because no love is worth losing yourself to someone else's madness. I knew it was a bad idea to respond to Amy's text, but my dumbass did it anyway. We had broken up months ago after she went full psycho girlfriend on me, hacking into my social media, showing up at my work unannounced, threatening any girl I so much as looked at. Real nutjob stuff. The breakup was inevitable. I changed my number and moved across town just to get away from her. Things had finally started to calm down, and I was able to get my life back. Then last night, my phone lit up with a text from her old number. "Hey babe, I miss you." I don't know why I engaged. Maybe because it had been so long since the last incident that I stupidly thought she had moved on. I was bored and lonely that night, so I wrote back. "Amy, you know we can't talk. Please don't text me again." Big mistake. She started bombarding me with messages, each one more desperate than the last. "Please, baby, just hear me out. I changed, I swear. I just want to talk. Don't do this. You're going to regret it if you ignore me. Answer me. I know you're getting these." I stopped responding altogether. I didn't want to provoke her any further. I put my phone on silent and tried to put it out of my mind. I fell into a fitful sleep, wondering if I had just reopened old wounds. The next morning, I headed to work early. I was immediately called into my manager's office when I arrived. He sat me down and asked if I knew why my office had been broken into overnight. I was shocked. I hadn't even been to my office yet. I immediately ran over and found it ransacked. Drawers emptied onto the floor, my awards and photos smashed. Across my desk in red nail polish was a message. "You won't ignore me again." My heart dropped. It was Amy. I explained the situation to my manager, how she was a crazy ex who I thought was out of my life. He was disturbed but sympathetic, telling me I should call the police. Reluctantly, I agreed. I couldn't keep letting her get away with this. At the police station, they took down my statement and said they would start investigating. I wished I had gotten a restraining order back when we first broke up. It would have made this easier. Amy clearly wasn't right in the head. I knew I shouldn't have engaged with her at all, but she still somehow had this emotional hold on me. I hated that she could still get to me after all this time. After the police, I directly went to get a restraining order. The judge, a severe-looking woman in her 60s, impatiently flipped through my documentation. Pictures of vandalism, threatening messages, Amy's record of stalking behavior. Finally, she glanced up at me and said, "You should have taken this more seriously when it started, but I'll grant the order." I sighed with relief. Finally, I could start putting this nightmare behind me. Over the next few days, things seemed to calm down. No new messages from Amy. No sign of her anywhere. I started to think she had actually moved on this time. I tried to focus on work, but this lingering paranoia remained. I kept checking over my shoulder when I left the office, worried I would catch a glimpse of her out of the corner of my eye. Her empty threats still hung over me like a dark cloud. About a week later, I arrived home one evening to an eerie, quiet house. I had this immediate sense something was off. I cautiously walked through each room, noticing nothing unusual. Then I opened my bedroom door and my heart stopped. There was Amy, sitting calmly on my bed, leafing through my photo album. Our prom pictures, our trip to Hawaii, photos of a happier time. She looked up and gave me a wistful smile. "Remember when we were so in love? I want that back, don't you?" I was frozen in the doorway, unable to process this ambush. She shouldn't be here. How did she even get in? Amy stood up and started slowly walking towards me. "Did you really think a piece of paper could keep me away? No law, no distance. Nothing can keep us apart," she said softly. "We're soulmates, meant to be together forever." Her presence was so menacing, so disturbing, that I snapped out of my haze. I turned and ran out of the house, dialing 911 as Amy called after me. "You can't run from fate." I waited on the sidewalk for the police, trembling with adrenaline. This had gone too far. The cops apprehended Amy back in my bedroom, where she was calmly waiting for me to return. She was arrested for violating the restraining order, but I had a feeling it wouldn't be the last I saw of her. This incident only confirmed how obsessed she still was with me after all this time. No restraining order was enough to keep a deranged ex away. I decided the only solution was to disappear entirely. I quit my job, sold my house, and left town without telling anyone. I needed to start over somewhere. Amy couldn't find me. It was painful to leave everything behind, but I knew she would never stop tormenting me if I stayed. I've bounced around to a few different cities now. I'm always looking over my shoulder, using fake names and avoiding posting anything online that could reveal my location. Amy's face still haunts me, her sickly sweet voice echoing. "You can't run from fate." Maybe she was right. Maybe she will track me down someday. But for now, putting distance between us is all I can do to feel safe. I just hope I can stay missing long enough for her obsession to finally fade. Moving on from a crazy ex is never easy, but I'll do whatever it takes to get my life back. I never thought I'd end up dating someone as insane as Mark. When we first met, he seemed totally normal, charming, funny, attentive. But it wasn't long before the red flags started popping up. The first incident happened about 3 months into our relationship. I was running late to meet Mark for dinner one night. When I finally arrived at the restaurant, he was fuming. "Where were you?" he demanded. "You're 40 minutes late." I tried to explain that I had gotten held up at work, but he refused to listen. He went on a tirade, causing a huge scene in the middle of the restaurant. I was mortified. After that, Mark's behavior only got worse. He would call and text me incessantly, demanding to know where I was and who I was with at all times. If I didn't respond right away, he would fly into a rage. He also started isolating me from my friends and family. If I tried to make plans with anyone else, he would guilt-trip me or threaten to break up with me. The possessiveness reached disturbing levels. One night, I woke up to find Mark standing over me, just watching me sleep. When I confronted him, he claimed he was just admiring me. Another time, I caught him going through my phone while I was in the shower. He had read all my text messages and emails, violating my privacy. I knew Mark was unstable, but I was terrified to leave him. He started making ominous threats, saying he would hurt himself if I ever tried to break up with him. I felt trapped in the twisted relationship. Things finally came to a head one night when we got into a huge argument. Mark accused me of flirting with some guy at a party we had attended. I tried to reassure him nothing had happened, but he refused to believe me. Rage contorted his face and he started screaming insults at me. Before I knew what was happening, he slapped me hard across the face. I stood there in shock, my cheeks stinging. "Don't you ever disrespect me again," he spat. I'd had enough. His abuse had gone on for too long. I left the apartment that night, determined never to return. Over the next few weeks, Mark unleashed a campaign of terror upon me. He bombarded me with calls and texts, begging me to come back 1 minute, hurling vicious insults the next. He showed up at my work, causing a scene until security escorted him out. He hacked into my email and social media accounts, impersonating me and trying to destroy my reputation. But I refused to give in. I blocked his number, made my accounts more secure, and alerted the police about his harassment. For a while, it seemed like I had finally escaped his clutches. But then the threats started. At first, it was just chilling voicemails saying he was watching me. Then I started noticing a black SUV parked outside my apartment at odd hours. I'd catch glimpses of it following me around town. I decided I needed to get away, far away, for my own safety. I transferred to a job in another state and found a new apartment. I didn't tell anyone except my closest family where I was moving to. On my last night in my old apartment, I was home alone packing up the final boxes. I had just finished loading up my car when I heard footsteps approaching behind me. Before I could turn around, a gloved hand clamped over my mouth. I struggled violently, but I felt a needle stab my neck. The world started spinning, and everything went black. When I came to, I was tied to a chair in a dingy, windowless room. I could hear water dripping somewhere nearby. That's when I saw him emerge from the shadows. Mark. His eyes were wild, his voice manic. "Did you really think you could escape from me?" He let out a chilling laugh. "I will never let you go. You're mine forever." He ranted and raved, 1 minute professing his love for me, the next threatening unspeakable violence. I tried reasoning with him, but it was no use. The man was beyond logic. When he left the room for a moment, I frantically looked for a way to escape. My hands were bound too tightly behind my back. I could feel my heart pounding out of my chest. Was this psycho really about to end my life? Just then, I heard shouts and heavy footsteps. The door burst open to reveal police officers with their guns drawn. "Let her go," they ordered Mark. He tried to resist, but they quickly overwhelmed him, snapping handcuffs on his wrists. I later learned my family had reported me missing when I didn't arrive as scheduled. The police tracked my phone's GPS to the abandoned building where Mark was holding me. They had arrived just in time. As Mark was dragged away screaming, I sobbed with relief. My nightmare was finally over. I had escaped the clutches of a truly dangerous predator. My experience taught me the terrifying lengths a crazy ex will go to exert control. Stalking, threats, violence, these are not gestures of love. Now I'm vigilant about spotting red flags, and I don't hesitate to involve the authorities. My message to others is stay safe, stay strong, and get help. These disturbed exes escalate quickly from possessive lovers to dangerous criminals. Don't wait. Get out at the first sign of unhealthy obsession. Your life may depend on it.